Hi, I'm Terry Lott. I'm a storyteller. I share stories to listeners ages 2 to 102. I'm a puppeteer. I'm also an indie author, which means I have published my own books. All 4 of my books are books for children. And as you can see, I love reading. In fact, I was just looking at one of my books, Jackie Tales, The Untold Stories of Jack's Sister. Now, I have loved Jack Tales since I first heard Jack and the Beanstalk, when I was much, much younger. But there are lots of stories out there about Jack, and a lot of storytellers tell Jack stories. So I've even written a couple of Jack stories. But I started thinking, in a family where there were 3 boys, Tom, Will, and Jack, why couldn't there be a sister? So I invented Jackie, 13 minutes younger than Jack, his twin. A little different from Jack in some ways, as Jackie's very kind-hearted and thinks of others. Jack's more self-centered. But she's also klutzy, and Jack isn't always klutzy, but Jack gets himself into some scrapes. Jackie's klutziness causes that. Well, the book I wrote has a lot of stories about Jackie, but I'm going to share the one called Jackie and the Bucket. And this was inspired by an Aesop story called The Milkmaid and the Pail. Now, this is going to be our bucket, and I know it's not really a bucket, but I didn't really want to put a big bucket on my head, so we're going to pretend. Now, Jackie was always trying to help her mom, who she called Ma. And Ma was always trying to find things for Jackie to do that wouldn't end up in a disaster, because they had suffered through a lot of broken glasses and broken dishes because of Jackie's clumsiness. Well, on this particular day, Jackie had asked her Ma once again if there was anything she could do to help. And her Ma said, "Why don't you go take a walk in the woods?" So Jackie did. There were woods that were at the back of their property. And Jackie knew every little nook and cranny of those woods, and all of the animals knew her. Well, after she had taken a good long walk, she was hungry, so she came home for some lunch. And as soon as she had eaten her lunch, there she was asking Ma again, "Is there something I can do to help?" And she said, "Don't you have any babysitting jobs today?" "No." "Don't you have any critter sitting jobs today?" You see, Jackie would also get jobs watching people's dogs or cats or birds or all kinds of critters. Now, no one really had much money in the parts where they lived to give Jackie for either babysitting or critter sitting, but they would always give her something. A fresh loaf of bread for her family, several jars of canned jam, whatever. But she didn't have any of those jobs today. Her Ma was really frantic trying to think of something, and she said, "Why don't you go play with Harold?" Now, Harold was Jackie's friend who happened to be a hedgehog. That's a story for another time. "No," Jackie said, "he's off visiting family." Well, Ma didn't know what else to tell her, but she had been starting to put some things away in the ice box. That's another name for a refrigerator. And she noticed that their pitcher that held their milk was getting close to empty. That gave her some inspiration. She said, "Jackie, you know where we keep the milk bucket?" "Yeah, Ma." "Well, go and get the milk bucket, clean it out real good, and then take it to Farmer Frank to get some milk." "Okay, Ma." Well, Jackie brought the bucket in and she washed it all out and cleaned it really good, and Ma inspected it, deemed it nice and clean. And then she looked at Jackie and she said, "Now remember, only get the bucket filled halfway because it's so easy to spill. Okay, Ma, I'll get it filled just halfway. Well, off Jackie went with the empty bucket, swinging it back and forth, and she started humming a favorite song. And in no time at all, she was at Farmer Frank's. She got that milk bucket filled only halfway, and I have to tell you, she was mighty proud of herself for remembering that. And so she started home, and she had the bucket in her right hand and was swinging it along. And when she got tired, she'd put it in her left hand and was swinging it along. And then she remembered a movie she had seen where the women carried things on their head. And so she put that bucket on top of her head and she steadied it with her left hand and she started walking home. It was real comfortable up there, but she started daydreaming. And she started thinking about, if Ma and Pa would buy a milk cow, we could sell the extra milk. And soon we'd have money to buy a couple chickens. And we wouldn't need all the eggs, so we could sell the extra eggs. And that might give us some extra money, and then maybe Ma could buy some material and make me a new dress. You see, Jackie had recently been to her first barn dance and worn a lovely dress that her Ma had made for her. So she was thinking about that and thinking about her dance partner, Homer, and she started kind of dancing around with an imaginary partner, and she took both hands, and you know what happened, right? The milk bucket fell off of her head. It splattered her overalls and her bare feet. Now, some people would be upset, but not Jackie. She just picked up the milk pail, noticed it wasn't dirty at all, and she headed back to Farmer Frank's to get another half bucket of milk. That's our Jackie. And that's the story from Jackie Tales, The Untold Stories of Jack's Sister. And that is the story called Jackie and the Bucket. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are interested in any of my books, I have 4 books for children. Lots of Tales, Stories that Grow with Your Children. Lots of Tales 2, Seasonal Stories that Grow with Your Children. Jackie Tales, which I recommend for readers ages 6 and older. And Lots of Animal Tales, which is filled with lots of different animal stories for anyone to enjoy. If you're interested in more information, contact me at my email, lots.of.tales@gmail.com. I'm Terry Lott, and thank you for listening to my story. And be sure and check out other stories on my YouTube channel. Also, on most Tuesdays at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, I share stories for all ages on Facebook. You can watch live or you can watch later. That's Tales on Tuesdays with Terry at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. Bye for now.